Okay, we are live on all platforms. So
Cool.
I should be able
I'm
to.
gonna set up. Hello, everyone.
Yes, hello everybody. I'm Shane, and this is my co-host Haley St. John, or the Criminal
Haley.
Element over on TikTok.
Woo-hoo. Yes. Go back to bed, please. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
Okay. So welcome everybody across various platforms that we are streaming on. We're going to get into discussions in regards to the Francis Scott Key bridge collapse that happened yesterday in Maryland. And as we discuss it, if you hear something that you have a comment on or want to comment on, please put those comments in the comment section, and between Haley and myself, we will get to them. So, and as
Apologies.
always, please share out this broadcast because we do want to inform some people of some things that were said, some things that we have found out, and kind of have a dialogue in regards to this whole bridge
Yes.
collapse.
Absolutely. Okay. I'm trying to set up the live stream so I can see. I'm super pixelated on the live, but whatever. It's fine.
Yep. So
I'm super pixelated on the TikTok at least, but
yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with your camera, but we're working to get that rectified for you.
yeah, probably. Here, I'll go to Walmart today after the live.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of information that has came out over the last 24 hours. A lot of people have thrown some what most of the left would say is a conspiracy theory out there, and we really wanted to dive into this specific subject because there's a lot of people that are hearing all sorts of information, and I know because I have been. We've had multiple people come out and say that there's eyewitness testimony, and I did find one eyewitness, and that video is what most of the mainstream news has actually been using. And we're gonna talk a little bit about it because in the background you don't hear a horn blast. However, there is people who were working at the docks that said they heard a horn blast, and those horns are meant to be heard over a half a mile plus away. So, what's the truth? Well, we don't know, and that's why we're having this conversation. But I know you
Right.
you've kind of been the subject of a lot of roasting online.
Oh, yeah. I've been called all sorts of names in the last 24 hours just for asking questions. All I said was something wasn't making sense. That's it. Man, it's been a freaking ride. Good grief. So TikTok took my video down, and which is fine. Like, I didn't get a system notification. I didn't get a warning or a strike or anything. It's simply gone. So fun, whatever. It is what it is. But oh man, I got told I should be in a mental institution. I got called a conspiracy theorist. Like, okay, all right, whatevs. It's fine. Whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah, and I
But like the
mean,
point that I was trying to make is like if this was an accident, which I truly hope it is an accident and only an accident, like, but if it's not, like the point that I was trying to make is like, well, question everything, like use critical thinking skills. Like there's a lot of coincidences with this entire situation that just aren't adding up, if you will. Hi, Jimmy. But yeah, it's weirding me out a little bit, but I know that you've got a lot more information than I do, so let's get into it.
yeah. So I mean, it's there's been a lot of speculation, and I actually talked to quite a few people who have intimate knowledge of this area, intimate knowledge with the cargo shipping field, because I'm not an expert on it, and I'll never claim to be an expert. But there, I mean, even the mainstream news, there was some discussion last night on one of the lives that we were on, talking about how I can't remember exactly what was said, but um, about how it's an American pilot that takes it out and takes the ship out to sea and then gets off and then goes back to port. Well, we I was I was misinformed, and I'll admit that in that live, and that's where a lot of for me, I had to do a way deeper dive than what we had done, and I know there's like information in regards to the captain of the ship and how he's Ukrainian, and how the motorman is Indian, and those are the only two crew members that are actually listed online as being
Mhm.
part of that ship.
Right.
So
Well, because they're the ones in charge. The Ukrainian guy, I'm assuming his name is Sergey or something.
his last
It
name is
doesn't actually
Sergey.
say their names when you go to Sergey is his last name. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so he's from Ukraine and he's the ship's master, but he was also signed on under contract last month on the 19th. So a month ago, a little over a month ago. So does that mean he's green to the industry? Not necessarily, but
No.
he's green to the
So
company and he's green to the ship. So
so actually, I do. He is not green to the company nor to the ship. So I pulled up a service record,
interesting.
and I'm gonna
Ooh.
see if I can pull it up now to share with you, because that's where a lot of people, that's where the when it comes to what we've been discussing, it makes a whole lot more sense when you look at the actual service record. And I'm gonna see if I can do this without. Okay, yep. Well, it's not gonna allow me to do that. So we're gonna, and guys, you are gonna see this in live time.
Hmm.
But oh, I can't. Okay,
No.
let's see if we can zoom that in a little bit further.
Yeah, quite a bit further because it's very pixelated. I've got the TikTok live up over here
Yeah,
so I
it
can see
won't.
it
It
and what
won't
other
allow me to
people
go
are
any
seeing
further
in
than
the
that.
live.
No. So what we're gonna do is
Dang
we're gonna
it.
save that image
Yes.
entitled, and then
We'll get it
I'm
so
actually
that
gonna.
you guys can watch it.
So I'm gonna go to. Sorry, guys. This is not as good as what I was expecting, but okay. So we're going to go back to StreamYard, and I'm going to present share screen. Now tell me if you can see that a lot better.
Still very pixelated. See if you can zoom in a little.
Okay.
A little bit further.
Okay. So this
Perfect.
is the Ukrainian.
It's at least legible.
This is the Ukrainian stuff. So, oh yeah, now it's so this yellow highlight is a different ship, right?
Uh-huh.
428 on there's because we look at the 428 because that's the last three of the container ship. But 428, if you go back several pages into his file, all of these are exactly what we were
Someone's asking about your guys' other platforms. I know you can't say them out loud, but just make sure
Okay,
you're looking
yeah,
at those,
well, we
'cause
can
some
do
people
that.
are asking, so
Yeah, we can do that. So anybody that's over on TikTok, go and check out FB, Patriot News Network, over on YouTube, Rumble, all those places.
Mhm.
But yes, I
Yes.
appreciate it, Logan, for letting me know that.
Yeah, thank you, Logan.
But
Okay, so
this is just
this top one that you have highlighted, it looks like he might have started June of last year on that ship, but then down
no,
here
this is
in 2016? Or
no.
am I
Okay,
reading that
so
wrong?
basically what this is this is just one page of his record.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? All of these
Yeah.
are literally the same company.
Okay.
So when we're talking about how he didn't have any experience, he wasn't in control of the ship, first of all. So when we're
Right.
talking about being in control of the ship versus just being a passerby, he wasn't in control of the ship. So the blame, if anybody's going to blame anything, let's look at who was actually in control, which was an American citizen who had been traversing in the capacity as a pilot for almost 22 years up and down
Right.
this exact stretch of waterway. So there's so many people that want to get up in arms about that. Well, it was an American that was piloting it. We have learned that there are 6 confirmed dead, and those 6 individuals, only one has actually been named by the news and other sources. And that individual's name is Miguel Luna of El Salvador. He was a legal migrant worker that had 6 children. He was married, 6 children. And so these guys were family people. And as much as we want to, a lot of people want to just say, oh, they're illegals. No, they weren't. And they actually made a point in several news broadcasts that he was a legal migrant. So,
Right.
and everybody that knows anything about this circumstance knows or has been in communications with the embassy, the El Salvadorian embassy, and the Guatemalan embassy, the Mexican embassy, so on and so forth. Because there's 2 Guatemalans and then a couple from Mexico and 1 or 2 from Honduras. So there's a lot of different South American countries, Central American countries that had people on that bridge. And two people, one was rescued, no injuries, the other one's in critical condition. So we our hearts and prayers go out to them and their families, and hope that they have a speedy recovery. But
Yes,
as of right now,
absolutely.
the information that we have is that there's only 6 that have been confirmed dead.
Right. And I think it's so easy for all of us to judge and jump to conclusions as to whether or not they did follow the law to come here, because so many don't follow the law to come here, especially in the last couple of years. But my rule of thumb is always having at least 3 sources confirming a topic or a piece of information or a detail. The best amount would be at least 7. So we have a good amount of sources confirming that they did come here legally. They didn't break the law to come here. And so we just wanted to put that out.
I am getting a little bit of echo, I think, on the TikTok stream. So
On
if
TikTok?
people are,
Okay.
yeah, if there is an echo, guys, I apologize. We're trying to stream everything so you guys can see the same thing as the people on all the other platforms are seeing. So, but the echo is on my part, and the next broadcast that we do, we'll try to rectify that, get that fixed. But one thing that was brought up, and I'm actually gonna really kind of,
Sorry, guys. My daughter is napping right now and she got out of bed, so I had to tell her to go back to bed.
what the hell just happened?
I don't
Something
know.
just happened.
What just
I think we're
happened?
back.
Okay.
So, anyways,
Okay.
yeah. So there's been a lot of speculation, and there's some people talking about how they lost power, and so and talking and actually reading the statement that was actually put out by the ship pilot, the person that was actually navigating with the ship. He said that they lost power 2 separate times. They lost engines.
Right.
They got them back up and running, and then they lost again a minute and a half later. They got it back, and then they lost it, and that's when the final Mayday call came out saying, "Hey, we're making emergency maneuvers to try to avoid hitting this bridge." And less than 90 seconds later, we saw what happened. We saw the bridge collapse. So there were a lot of people that were speculating, did they drop anchor? Did they not? According to people that have been in that industry, it takes about 6 minutes for a ship of that size to drop anchor. So when we're talking, there's no way possible for them to drop the anchor that fast and be able to actually make any bit of difference at slowing that ship down. They started way too late.
For sure. Well, and I think the other aspect of it is there's audio recording of him confirming that. So, and I think the big mistake that a lot of people are making is, and I made this mistake too, because I'll tell you guys what, the video I put out yesterday at 7 a.m. that got taken down by TikTok had a lot of people in my comments saying, I'm claiming to be a ship expert. Give us your qualifications to talk about this and blah, 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 blah. In my video, I literally said sources are saying that the ship's power went out twice, but you can clearly see that power is still on when it hits the bridge. Okay. Now, since then, I've been able to deduce through sources and people letting me know in the comment section. And thank you to those of you who are trying to be helpful and educate on the situation, that the ship's deck power is different than the ship's engine power. Okay, so those lights on the deck may have flickered a couple of times, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the ship's engine power went out. And I think that's causing a lot of confusion, because you're seeing the deck lights go out and people are assuming it's connected to everything. And I don't know if I was making that mistake or not. I'd say I probably was at the time, but yeah, I mean, not all of us are experts in cargo ships, in the way these ships work. And so thank you for helping to educate us all on what was going on.
Yeah, and guys, people have to give a little bit of grace, because like I said, we're not all professionals, and if you can find a single person in the news that does this, that is a journalist or a broadcaster of any sort, that is an expert on every topic that they cover, I want you guys to email me or send me a message. I will give you my personal cell phone number, and I want you to put me in contact with that person.
Me too.
First of all,
my email is thecriminalelementofficial@gmail. Yeah, no, it's not possible. It's not possible at all. Like, you cannot physically within 24 hours become an expert on anything. It's not doable.
So,
but we have the resources that we have.
Yeah, it's not possible to sit there and become an expert overnight, and to believe that anybody, and I'm moving this over so I can actually, it's not possible to believe that anybody knew anything, journalists or otherwise, about this incident, except for the people that were on the ground there, that are part of the rescue efforts, that knew anything. And most of those guys are already coming out and saying, you know what, this is what happened, but there's still speculation. And like Dan Bongino said this morning in his broadcast, it's okay to ask questions. So long as we're not castigating the people that are asking the questions, and actually paying attention to the people that are trying to get to the bottom of it. The experts, yeah, we have good reason not to trust the experts. But when what the experts are saying is making sense, then there's a possibility that it's correct.
Exactly.
And I can't say that.
And I think a lot of, no, and we can't say that for everybody. I think a lot of the controversy nowadays is that, you know, people label you and me, Shane, as conspiracy theorists because we don't always trust the narrative, right? And challenging the narrative for us is pretty much our daily life now, because they've proven themselves to not be trustworthy. I brought up to a friend of mine earlier today, I said, you know, the reason we challenge the narrative, the media can legally lie to us. That happened in 2012 with the Smith Modernization Act. And if you guys follow our podcast, North of Richmond, the first 2 episodes of the Watergate scandal will be out today or tomorrow, and it's been a crazy couple of weeks, so we haven't been able to get them out. But I bring this up in episode 1, the Smith-Mundt Act that was originally passed, you know, almost 70 years ago now. It was originally supposed to help form a narrative through American media sources for the rest of the world, to paint America in the most amazing light possible, right? And then in 2012, the Obama administration signs this executive order to put the Modernization Act of Smith-Mundt into place that allows that to also be presented to the American people, basically legally allowing the news to propagate us and to lie to us, right? Logan says no sound on TikTok.
Yeah, I just took care of that.
Okay, it's back. Perfect. So when we look at it in that sense and looking at the history of what the government is willing to do in order to legally lie to its people and to its citizens and to propagate them, you can't help but not trust what's coming out of the mainstream media. And I'm very intrigued to see what comes out of this investigation. I know that they have the black box in their hands for the ship. And so we'll see what happens. Cheryl on Facebook says, if it was only a minute between Mayday and the ship hitting the bridge, how were the police able to stop more traffic from going onto the bridge? And why weren't the people on the bridge not warned to get off of the bridge? So, Cheryl, they only had like 90 seconds to get people to stop going onto the bridge. And that 90 seconds, because that bridge, you got to think about it like this, that bridge is 1.5 miles long. The construction crews that were working the bridge that evening, or that early morning rather, sorry, there were 6 of them on the bridge. There were in fact vehicles on the bridge. All vehicles that were on the bridge were the work trucks of the construction workers. So luckily, no civilians ended up on the bridge outside of the construction workers, and the construction workers are not considered civilians. That 90 seconds would not have been enough time to get them off of the bridge before impact, unfortunately.
Correct.
So
I'm trying to fix the audio, or basically I'm trying to get the audio so it's not echoing over there.
Oh yeah,
so
sure. And Joseph says, where were the harbor masters? There should have been at least one on duty. And what about the tugboats? Oh, we'll get into the tugboats here in just a second, Joseph. Shane's gonna, I gotta point this way. Shane's gonna work on the sound here in a second, but it is federal law in American ports to have a tugboat escorting in and out of the port, right? Why is this harbor so important? I don't know if it's important necessarily. In my research, there's a lot of misinformation going on the comment sections of people's videos all over TikTok and all over Facebook. The port itself, the Baltimore port, is ranked number 18th in terms of American ports. Okay, so it's not the most important port, but it is pretty significant in terms of bringing goods and services to New York, New England, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and it's not necessarily that it is super important, but you also have to think about it in the sense of human trafficking. Baltimore is, no, you're fine, Joseph. You're fine. I'm a thinker too. Baltimore is a big human trafficking hub as well. So there's that. That's also something to consider. And remember, quite a few years ago, there was shipping containers found with babies in them. And I can't remember where. So if you remember where, please shoot it into the comments. But white hats, maybe. I don't know. Some people think Trump's a white hat, so because he wears a white MAGA hat. I don't know. But that's besides the point. The point is it's not necessarily about, like, if this were to have been something nefarious, and I'm not saying it is, but if this were to have been something nefarious, perhaps it may be that they are testing, right? Because you got to think about it like this. Over the last couple of years, we've seen a power substation in, what was it, South Carolina get attacked. We've heard threats of infrastructure attacks. We've seen our cattle industry, thousands of cows dying. Something's not right with those deaths. The media wants to blame it on heat exhaustion and extreme heats. But since when does 95 degrees kill 10,000 cattle? You know what I mean? There's also been train derailments. There's been explosives being stolen or disappearing from trains, going from California to Wyoming. There's a lot going on, and some of them could be false flags, others may not be. But what's important, being a thinker, is that we put them in our mind, file them away. Fires of huge food plant industries. Thank you, Cheryl. Exactly. So, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's been over 350 of those food plants that have caught on fire. So when we have an open southern border and we have all of these people with possible nefarious intentions coming into our country illegally, paired with all of these potential red flag events, it makes your gears turn when something like this happens. And it's not necessarily that the port is super important, but it could be that, maybe it's practice for something else. So my advice for all of us critical thinkers would be to watch the ports in the next 6 to 8 weeks. Because if other ports end up going down and this kind of things like happens again, then we'll know for sure. Right? Exactly. It could be a test run, hypothetically speaking, allegedly, for educational purposes only, whatever platform you're listening to this on. I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it isn't, but it is definitely a possibility, and we can't rule it out. I truly, based on the research Shane has done and the research that I've been able to do this morning, I do truly believe that this could, in fact, be just a freak accident. But if information comes out to state otherwise, I will gladly state that I was wrong. Mostly because I want to give a big fat "I told you so" to my dad.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that we have to be cognizant of, is all this information is going to change minute by minute, hour by hour.
Mm-hmm.
And to believe that we have all the answers, that's illogical. I know we have 20 people watching over
Absolutely.
on the various other platforms, and then some over on TikTok. But guys, all of this is so new that we can't even, as Americans, believe that we're going to have all the information. Nobody does. I mean, they haven't even pulled the bodies out of the harbor.
Exactly.
So to believe that we as American citizens who have no access to the National Transportation Safety Board, who is doing the investigation, we don't have access to the FBI, who is assisting on the investigation. We don't have access to people who are on the ground there at the moment that happened. All we have to rely on is expert opinion from people who have traversed the same exact place many, many times over a 30-year career. We have the ability to look at the media, everything, and say, okay, what looks to be realistic and actually ties with all the other information that we have already researched, whether it's from the shipping or the people who own the ship to the people that are that were on it. We can deduce a lot of things just off of the information that we do have, and that's the biggest reason that I'm wanting to do this. And I talked to Haley last night, and I said we have to do a broadcast about this. We actually have to talk about this, and I don't like having to talk about it, but there's so much information out there, and there's so many people who get so heated about misinformation. Misinformation is where you're deliberately making people believe one narrative over another. If you are questioning, that's not making people believe. It's making people think. So anybody that wants to come at us, say, you guys are misinforming people. No, I'm sorry. You're wrong.
Mm-mm.
Questioning everything is a healthy thing. Do we want it
Exactly.
to be?
And it
just
doesn't make us a conspiracy theorist.
Do we want it to be just a tragic accident? Absolutely. I'd rather it be a tragic accident than something that was set up. I would 100% rather
Absolutely.
say in 6 months that this was a tragic accident. But unfortunately,
sure.
as we've built a community of people who actually think for themselves and are willing to question the narrative, we get attacked, and we hear, oh, well, you guys are conspiracy theorists. No, we're not. Anybody who's followed me for any length of time knows that I don't delve into conspiracy. I
do.
don't go
sometimes
there because, well, yeah, you do, but I've built Patriot News Network up based off of knowing facts first, getting the story right the first time. I would rather have the story right the first time than to have to go and lose credibility with my audience in regards to what information was right and what information was wrong.
Right.
So, I mean,
No, I totally agree with you.
What's that?
Oh, I just said I totally agree with you. I've had a couple of instances where I get details wrong and here and there, and I've started like correcting in further videos. That's actually how Shane and I met, is he corrected one of my videos like a year ago or so, talking about the Lloyd Brunson case.
A year ago, this young lady here actually did something that I never in a million years would have done. Because I'm not that bold of a person to do it. But she took information that she found online through TikTok and various other sources and made a video about the Brunson case.
The Supreme Court website, I was misinterpreting it though. But
yes, you were, and I had to chuckle. But I literally started out the video. I let her speak, and I said, I do think all of you guys need to go watch this whole video, and I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna tell you exactly why she is 100% wrong.
It was funny. I laughed. And now we're like best friends.
I figured she was going to get her panties in a twist, and she was going to come at me because I was quite critical in her analysis, and I was like, well, she's probably licking her wounds a little bit, and she's going to be mad at me, but whatever. Well, she'll get over it. And that's exactly what I thought. Didn't think nothing of it. And pretty soon she reached out and she's like, well, I thank you for correcting this. I took down that video. Great.
Right. Yeah. Because what we don't want is James on TikTok says he can only hear me.
Okay.
But what we don't want is people who are out there spreading incorrect information. And so when we find a detail in the videos that we make that is incorrect, or we discover that it's incorrect, it's always very important to correct it. And that's something that somebody tried to come after me for literally just asking questions, looking at footage of this ship. I had a lot of people in my comments section saying, "Oh, all of a sudden you're a conspiracy theorist, ship expert now, or all this stuff." And it's like, well, no, me simply stating that something isn't making sense here does not make me one a conspiracy theorist, although I do like to delve into those sometimes. Don't judge me for that. But and two, it doesn't mean that I'm spreading misinformation. I had so many people, like I had several people tell me that I needed to stop smoking meth and that I needed to go into a mental institution. I needed a straitjacket. Like, in what society is that acceptable to talk to somebody like that? This is the issue with how big social media has gotten, is people get confident and then they become keyboard warriors when they don't understand a single thing about the person that they're attacking, haven't watched a single bit of their content outside of the video they just saw, and they feel like they're noble. I have somebody else on TikTok who I actually had to block. But
you're talking about Fact Checker. Well,
Fact Checker. Yeah.
okay,
Oh yeah.
I'm actually gonna say something about this, because I'm gonna clip this part of the episode, or this part of the conversation, and I'm gonna put it, and I'm gonna tag him in it.
Oh, please. That would be great. You know, because here's what we don't do, friends. We don't assume anything about somebody's life. Okay, first of all. Second of all, we don't tell people that they're part of the problem. No. If you're not a
Or that
critical
they should
thinker,
go
then you are
and
part of the problem.
commit themselves.
Nope. Absolutely not. He told me I don't have a job. He knows nothing about me. I have a job.
Okay, can you hear me now, James?
Exactly. We're the ones who are flagged when we fire back at those accusations. And this is a very small creator. I know that he feels noble in what he's doing, but the fact that he is not questioning the narrative is part of the problem. And yes, this situation could very much be the narrative. Like, the narrative of this situation could very much be what's happening. But we don't attack other people for asking questions. That's not what happens here. I'm an independent citizen journalist just trying to get to the bottom of what the hell is going on in this world. And attacking me for doing that, for doing exactly that, is not how we handle it in any way, shape, or form. So, there's
okay.
that.
Yeah. And I mean, when we're talking about this kind of stuff, and what I might end up doing, guys, is I might end the TikTok live and then actually go live through my phone. That way we can actually get no echo.
Right. And that's
Because
okay too. We can do that.
So, guys, I will be right back on TikTok. Give me just a few seconds.
Yes. And I can actually co-host with you on TikTok if you want. That way everyone can hear both of us.
Okay. Yep. Okay, so sorry guys, we're setting up and we're going to go. So Okay, I'm live.
Okay. Let me get back.
We're sorry,
in
guys.
here.
We have a group over on TikTok that has been following us for a while over there. So we're
Yes, I'm requesting to go live with you. Whoa! Oh no! Whoa! Made my phone fall.
okay. So yeah, she is getting set up and ready to go. This is going to be a lot better, in my opinion.
Yes.
So
I think so too.
yes, as you guys can see, there is a green screen behind me. So
There we go. So we Perfect.
Are you going to turn your camera on?
Okay. And so that people can hear me properly. Is my camera off? Oh yeah, I gotta do that. Give me a sec.
Okay.
There we go.
Sorry, and we're back. I apologize to everybody that was trying to see everything that we were doing.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so we've got a couple of comments on Facebook. So Joseph says, could Baltimore and P. Diddy be tied together? Big pedo ring exposed both on the same day. I'll let you take that one.
So I don't want to say yes or no. As far as P. Diddy's, the whole search thing happened the day before at about 4 p.m. Pacific time. 12 hours later, or less than 12 hours later, it happened. As far as anybody is concerned, we don't really know for sure. And I'm not going to speculate on it because it's too early in that investigation to really understand 100%.
I would agree. I think it is too early. But, and Peter says, was it miners in the container? We don't know. We don't know what was in the containers. Yeah. I mean, until we know more about the containers, we won't speak on that. We'll quote good old KJP and say, I'm not going to speak to that from here.
Yeah, and I mean when we talk about like trying to make sure that people are actually getting real news. I'm not going to be 100% correct on every little detail in my life. It's just not physically possible. No. Nor am I ever going to be 100% on everything. But I have a good track record. And as far as things are concerned in regards to whether or not that's tied together, we don't know. And anybody that says they are, we really truly don't know. Three bridges one day. Yeah, exactly. I heard the Cleveland Bridge was on fire. I'm not sure where the other bridge was, so yes. Definitely let me know.
There was a third bridge.
Yes, I like that. No, we'll circle back to you.
Go back to you.
Yeah, we're not going to do this whole Peppermint Patty circle back girl stuff, but I definitely want to make sure that people understand that all the information that we have, it's credible, and it's actually can be confirmed by multiple sources. Pick up the phone and call, not just what the news is saying.
Right.
Joe says there was trains on the bridge. You know what? Joe said yesterday the sky was red. So I don't buy a single word that
the president of Mexico is the same as the one in Egypt. So,
and James, I'm not They
It
can
is what it is at
they
this
can say
point.
what they want, but again, I don't care if they're conservative. I don't care if they're liberal. If we can't confirm something by picking up the phone and calling, I'm not going to air it. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not trying to lowball anything of what they do, because I do like a lot of their work. But most of their work,
Mhm.
most of the things that they say, I can pick up the phone and call. As far as it being an attack, I can't confirm any of that. So I don't want to say that yes, it was an attack. No, it was not, because I don't know. And yes, Laura is one of the most
Right.
credible people out there. But again, I don't take other people's words for it. And Mark, you're absolutely correct. There were no trains on the bridge. That is a vehicle bridge only. There's no
Right.
tracks on that bridge.
And I
Joe
think
smokes a lot.
makes a good point here. June makes a good point here, and this seems to be the question that a lot of people are asking, is why wasn't it going under the middle of that bridge where the water was probably deeper? We don't know. We don't really know. It seems as if it was turning around to come back to port once they realized that they were having engine issues. So we just
Yeah.
don't know.
And that's the thing that a lot of, like, we don't know. There's enough stuff that we don't know that for us to make a qualified guess, or even say there's a strong likelihood that this is what happened, is I don't see it happening for quite some time.
Right. At least not
And
until
June Jordan's been a long.
all
June Jordan is one of my longtime P1 listeners.
welcome. No, we can't rule out foul play necessarily, but everything is pointing to this being just a freak accident at this point.
And there was a comment. James said something I noticed. It picked up speed when it took a hard turn. Yes, it did. So there is and the reason behind it is
One moment, guys.
actually somewhat plausible, and I actually halfway buy it. And here's why I say that. When you're sitting there and you, like, the pilot put out a statement saying that they lost power, they put in what's called a pre-mayday, so they let them know, hey, we're having problems, we're going to be returning to port. They lost power a second time. Then a true mayday went out, and that's when they locked the bridge down. And so in this area, from what I'm hearing from people on the ground, there are police officers that handle that bridge area quite regular like. So when a call like that goes out, of course they're going to lock it down. And you see that in a lot of the shipping areas. So there is a black box. There has been audio recordings released to the press and various other outlets. So as soon as I have my hands on the actual audio, I will be releasing that through either TikTok and Facebook and all the other places. Nice. So yes, there is a black box. That black box will actually tell us what truly happened engine wise. And it is, so there's a lot of speculation in regards to the actual engine and how an engine or a ship that new. This ship was built in 2015. How could that engine and that ship have the problems that it had. Again, we don't know, but we're definitely going to be diving deeper into this as more information comes out.
Right. Bella says, no accident, wake up. We're very awake, Bella. We're very awake, but sometimes things are, in fact, just accidents. We're asking questions. We're asking the right questions. But it's all about making sure at this point that anything that is put out is evergreen to the best of our knowledge. And so we can't claim that it wasn't an accident at this point.
Yeah, and
we can ask
the information
questions.
is pointing to that. But
right.
Again, we don't know. And if we continue to keep our heads in the sand and not explore the different opinion or the different scenarios, we're going to be just like the regular media. And Joseph, I actually 100% agree with you. Some on the news are scratching but not asking questions like the rest of us. I agree. But a lot of the questions that need to be asked are now starting to be asked of the media. And the media is starting to have to turn those questions to the people that they have contact with.
Sorry, I'm checking TikTok comments.
James, when taking a hard turn in water, keeping the same speed is impossible unless speeding up. So here's something that was brought up in the live last night. And it's something that really bothers me because a lot of people want to immediately assume, okay, well, they were speeding up. Guys, they were going 15 mile an hour. Plus they had a I think it was a 435 cubic feet per minute flow. And it was going to high tide. So the tide was coming in. They took, according to the statement released by the pilot, they took an emergency turn to try to avoid that when they could not avoid it. And it was not a 90-degree turn. If you look at the close-up images and the video footage from the shore, which was CCTV, there was one eyewitness that was fishing. And he actually said that he was fishing. And that's how he managed to catch. He saw the lights go out, it caught his attention, pulled up his camera, and that's when he actually captured the rest of it. So when you turn and do an emergency turn like that, extra power is kicked to the rudder and to actually get that ship changed.
Yes, Mary, there is supposed to be a tugboat escort, but I believe they may have been past the point of that tugboat being needed. But there's also rumors out there, and they're just rumors and speculation, but there's also rumors out there that Baltimore has gotten rid of their tugboats, which is federally illegal. They have to have a tugboat. So I don't.
So I actually did some looking into it.
Was until we know further information.
I actually did some looking into it, so I'm gonna share what I learned.
Ooh.
So coming in and out of slip, which is where they park, that is where they are required to have a tug. They are not required once they are pulled into the channel. They are not required to have a tug once they're pulled into channel.
Interesting.
So there's so much when we're talking about that. Was there mishaps? Yes. Is there going to be changes? Yes. Hopefully. As far as the trade routes impacted, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of ships are not going to be able to get into the port or out of the port for at
Yeah.
least a month and a half, 2 months. Army Corps of Engineers just met this morning for the very first time to figure out how they can
Right.
disentangle the bridge from the ship.
So the ship is still in the channel.
It's still
Oh,
in
boy.
it's still in place. So it's not gonna
Have they been
it's not
able to
gonna be
get the
moved.
crew members off?
Yeah, the crew members, and so there was no injuries reported among the crew, and they were all taken off the ship and questioned, and so there's a lot of things that have happened over the last 24 hours. But yeah, so
Emo on
once they're
TikTok
in the
says we got
channel, then the
Suez.
tugboats go away.
I mean, we don't know, Simo. We don't know what exactly happened, but it's a great
But it's a great comparison.
question, I guess. A thought. Yeah, a great comparison. Suez Canal. He also says
KRM Kevin,
those ships take about a mile and a half.
Yeah. You figure those ships are about a half a mile long.
They take about a mile and a half. Right. Well, and this one is 934 feet long. So it's
hold on
about a quarter of a
second.
mile.
I'm going to pull.
Little less.
Okay, quarter mile.
Little less than a quarter mile, because if you think about it, 5,280 feet are in a mile. It's 934 feet long.
Yeah, so about a fifth of a mile.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it weighed a ton.
Francis Scott Key wrote our national anthem. That is a great question, and it's a question I brought up to Shane earlier. They'll probably take an opportunity to rename the bridge. Who knows? I mean, it's too early to tell, but yeah.
299 meters long.
Yeah.
But KRM Kevin, that bridge snapped apart too easy. You know, so if you actually look at a simulation, and I tried to actually build a simulation to show you guys, but what happened is what's called a sine wave collapse. If you know what a sine wave is, when there's an impact, it ripples like this, and then eventually those will continue to get worse and worse, and then the structure will snap. There's nobody that would have been able to stop that, even if I haven't seen anything like that survive a direct impact to one of the support pillars.
Exactly. And you got to also think of it like this. The impact, that bridge was finished in 1977, right? 3 years later, the Tampa Bridge collapse happened. After that, it was required to have what are called dolphins. They're like little barriers, either sandbank barriers underneath the pylons under the water, or some sort of like barrier around it, right? They obviously didn't bother to put any on the Key Bridge. If they did, we would be hearing about it already. Stopped the ship from hitting the pylon over. So we just don't know at this point. James says, when was the last time Biden made a prompt speech for anything? I mean, that's a great point to bring up. I can't tell you, James. I don't.
Remember, I did a video on TikTok, and I'm going to share it over to Facebook. But I did a video, and a buddy of mine is the one that the original video is pretty funny. He's like, "Oh, what's this, this, and this?" And then what I did was I literally cut it apart and just answered each individual question. It is election season, and Biden's votes are suffering. The vessel is designed with backup systems to prevent loss of electrical. Something wrong with the automated systems. The smoke from the vessel is likely after lights came on. All backup reverse astern on main engine, causing vessel to slightly turn. Nothing could stop. I agree. I actually 100% agree with that. And here's when you're talking about a vessel that huge. What was, I can't remember. Okay, so fully loaded down, 116,851 tons is what that ship weighed.
A lot. How many elephants is that? I'm just kidding.
How many
It's
elephants? A Joe Biden amount.
I don't know. Child of God says, Shane, your sound keeps going up and down. It's because he's got TikTok on his phone, the same as I do. I've got an earbud. I think he's putting his earbuds in now so that he can have better sound for you guys. Apologies. We had this all figured out through StreamYard, and then we started having sound issues. And so we had to restart the lives on TikTok on our phone, respectively, our phones. So we're trying. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it was a lot of cargo to try and halt, even at 15 mile an hour. Guys, these ships aren't going to stop on a dime. How many semis?
No, they're not.
Have you ever seen a semi stop on a dime?
Mm-mm.
What happens when you try to stop
Nope.
a semi on a dime?
Trailer
for
for a really long time.
forward,
Yep.
and the cab usually spins right or left.
Yeah. Exactly. And that was something that a lot of people actually brought up in my comment section, trying to, oh, here comes another TikTok expert. It's not going to stop on a dime. I know that. Me asking questions is not claiming that I'm an expert. You asking questions is not claiming that you're an expert. Shane asking questions is not claiming that he's an expert. It's literally just questions. Again, I'm going to reiterate that over and over until I'm blue in the face. Asking questions is not a bad thing. Jeremy, we don't have evidence of that yet. We don't have evidence that it was a software hack. It could very well be, but we just don't know at this point. I will say there are a lot of questions that need to be asked here, and that's what we're trying to do. So,
and that's a thing that
opinions do matter.
Yeah. And James, you're absolutely right. Worrying about a trailer being pushed through your head is kind of a big deal. This is almost 700 times the size of a semi.
Right.
And I understand the semi trucks and moving them around. I used to own one. So I'm not going to even I'm going to compare them you can't stop them on a dime. You can't stop a tractor trailer on a dime. Even at 15 mile an hour, there's no way you're stopping that ship. And I'm gonna just
Jeremy.
Okay, so let me do this.
Yes.
Jeremy, you're absolutely right. It could be a software hack. Here's why we don't talk about it being a software hack. Have you seen the black box? Do you have direct evidence from somebody who has direct knowledge of this ship and of the crew and of the systems that are on there? Do you have direct knowledge? there was software that was tampered with. Because if you don't,
Right.
it's not worth putting out. We can have all this stuff, but without proof, we have nothing. And yes, there is video of the ship losing power. Guess what? There's many, 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 many different reasons that the ship could have lost power. Could have had bad fuel. It could have had a whole bunch of things. But you don't put stuff out doing what we do. You don't put stuff out and wreck your credibility unless you have factual information.
Jeremy, we pay attention every single day. We're trying to be objective here. If you could be respectful, that would be very much appreciated. I feel like you're attacking the entire live, and I'd appreciate it after the live is over for you to go back and watch the very beginning of all of it. Nobody's bullshitting you, Jeremy, in any way. It's actually you who is bullshitting other people, and this is part of the problem here. Until we know for certain factually, we as citizen journalists cannot speak to the subject. We do not know for sure. And I'm sorry I'm getting a little bit heated, but I just spent the last 24 hours being attacked by people like you in my comments from the opposite side. So that's not what we're doing.
And Jeremy, I'm gonna just tell you something. As somebody who used to work in the intelligence field,
so have I.
As somebody who has spent time in the intelligence field, who actually has people inside that organization and other organizations, if there was even a sniff that it was a coordinated effort by the 3-letter agencies to do this, I would have been notified right away. Because these people that I actually talk to inside the agency are patriots, are people that are informed, that know that I have TSSCI clearance, that know I have the ability to be read in on any project and every project that has to do with U.S. national security.
Do you want him to go to prison? Jeremy, please leave.
So when you talk about stuff like that, I'm not a person that dives into the conspiracy rabbit hole every time something goes wrong in the United States. When I talk about stuff, I don't talk about it from a naive point of view. And there's people who jump in all the time, and yes, if you go all the way back, as far back as you can go, for the last 3.5 years that I've been broadcasting on this very page, every story that I've ever covered has been diligently researched, talked about, discussed, and then months later, it comes true. I have discussed stories that the Q or whatever that you're talking about, that they try saying, oh yeah, this is going on. No, I have literally debunked every single one of those stories multiple times. So you can say what you want. I don't care. And as for anything,
freedom of speech. You asked me why I'm on here talking about this. First Amendment. I have an opinion on it. We're more than welcome to have a good conversation about it, but what you're not going to do is you're not going to come into the comments section and you're not back people. Okay? He doesn't have to show you his proof. If he tried to show you his proof, he would go to prison. That's what he's going to prison for.
As far as diving into classified stuff, I have made no bones that I will not touch classified material on a broadcast or otherwise. So if you're going to come in and lambast us, take a hike. because I'm not going to put up with it. We're sharing information, and if you don't like it, then it's up to you. And
Meg
I agree
Adams
100%,
on
Peter.
TikTok.
Peter, you're absolutely right. A conspiracy starts with an opinion, but it doesn't mean that it's wrong. Correct. And that's why I come out and I gather the evidence that I can find through the sources that I have. And yes, I have people and sources inside the federal government, inside the state governments, inside the local governments, and various agencies. I curate my sources to figure out who's telling the truth and who's not. And I use the information that they provide to inform the public.
Jeremy, just because it's a conversation that you don't want to hear does not mean you need to come in here the way that you did. There is a time and place for you to come in hot and heavy like you did. Us simply trying to be objective about the situation doesn't mean we're necessarily. I think something is up too, but until we know more, we're not going to speak as if we do. Okay?
And Jeremy, you know what? I'm gonna make a deal with you. If and when this story is 100% what you're saying is confirmed as true, guess what? I'll come out and say that you're 100% correct. But until then, shove off.
You can go back and rewatch this entire live when we're done, Jeremy, and you can see exactly what I said to you. Someone on the TikTok live brought up a great point that I wanted to talk about. This same ship also got into another accident with a bridge in Antwerp, Belgium in 2016.
Yes,
so
he absolutely was. And that's what we were talking about earlier in the live. I don't know if you were, you may not have been here during that, and I apologize. But yes, the same individual was involved with the same ship. There was damage done, the damage was repaired, and now this happened. But he was not in control of the ship as far as all the information from the crew, from everybody. This man was down on the deck. He was not even in the pilot house. So
yeah,
when that kind of information's shared, yes, it's true. He was on board. He was involved in another accident, so on and so forth. But he was not in the pilot house where the steering happens.
join the Facebook page, Jeremy. You can find the source. Honestly, Jeremy, you sound like a Biden supporter liberal. I'm not going to lie. Not trying to be rude, but the way you're coming in hot and heavy like this,
You don't need to be an expert on any subject, but you can give an opinion.
Thank you. Exactly. Especially with the amount of research that Shane and I both do on a daily, hourly, minute-by-minute basis. You don't become an expert, but you do enough research to be able to form an opinion on both sides of the situation. And like I said, Jeremy, I would encourage you after this live is over to go and rewatch the beginning of it, because we talked about a lot of the points that you're bringing up.
Mary, I know it's been a while, but eventually it's going to become a game of whack-a-troll.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Jeremy. Info from our government talking about hacks, then this takes place a few weeks later. You're not wrong. But until we know more, never said you didn't vote for Trump. So did I. So did I. We're on the same side here. But I'm just telling you, kind of sound like the liberals here. All right. Info from our government talking about hacks, and this takes place a few weeks later. You're absolutely right. I think something's fishy
But
here too. But
let's
until we
let's
know
dive
for
into something
sure,
that
I'm going to say it again.
let's
Yes.
talk about something
we
that
can't go
didn't
there.
make the news yesterday. I mean, it made a brief
Ooh,
blip
yes,
in the news.
tell.
So the list of demands that Mexico actually put out to shore up our southern border. And then
Mm.
there were some people that were captured on the southern border. And I am getting more information today in regards to the 14 individuals that was released from the Mexican prison that are tied to Al Qaeda.
No, I said you sounded like one.
But
Video evidence to back me up, friend.
yeah.
Anywho.
So there were 14 people that were released from a Mexican prison just after that demand was released. And there was an American soldier who was actually in the process of being out processed from the military that was actually in jail down there as well. He was released at the same time. And these people that were released just so happened to be, according to the information that I'm getting from the Border Patrol, a Border Patrol contact that actually ran into this individual, the soldier who turned himself in. One was a mechanical engineer. One was a guy that dealt with electrical engineering and nuclear power. You there, Haley?
Fun. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. The Mexico POTUS is tied into the same scheme as Biden, drain American people, drive all their money. Well, he's trying to extort the American government for $20 billion a year to keep the border open for some reason. And I can't remember exactly the logistics of why he would be extorting the American government. Do you remember, Shane?
Well, he wanted to. I don't know the exact demands that he made, but yeah, it was fairly extensive, to be honest, according to like Fox and some of those places. But yeah, the U.S. and the UK have an influx of military-aged men. Think about a Trojan horse story sneaking in. Yeah, so there's.
Oh,
the
light
reason
sanctions of Venezuela. Thank you, Joseph.
That are connected to Al Qaeda is because it got zero attention. Zero.
Everything was about the bridge yesterday. Everything.
And that's where I'm kind of wondering. And of course, I am somebody who don't dive into conspiracy theories, but I am entertaining this, that it was a distraction. And that's about as far as I'm willing to go. But then the question comes out, what was the distraction from? Who was there? Why?
I'm sure we'll know soon. Right.
Yes,
and that kind of goes back to what Jeremy was saying, is it was planned, right? So it could have been planned as a distraction from something else. Simo in the TikTok comments is bringing up Diddy again. So we know that Diddy, his homes got raided yesterday morning. right? And then
Nope.
next thing we heard, his
Nope. It wasn't yesterday morning. It was the night before.
or it was the day before. Yeah, sorry. But we heard yesterday morning, that his private jet was landing in Antigua, which is interesting because there's some country down there, some island down there that doesn't have an extradition treaty with the United States. Could he be going there? We don't know if this is connected, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what comes out.
Yeah, so
Like I said
Diddy's
earlier,
not
Baltimore's
missing.
port is
So,
a big hub for human trafficking.
so Diddy actually was informed that he was getting raided. That much I was able to find out. And the FBI
Right.
did say that they are looking into him, but he is not currently under investigation himself, but his son is. And that was put out this morning. And they do know where he's at, and Diddy has denied any of the allegations in regards to the civil case. Because that's the only thing that Diddy is facing right now is a civil trial.
Oh no. Right. Could it
So-
be that P. Diddy is brought out in the open? Could be.
And they're like Don LeCur over on X, he actually made a connection that I didn't make, and that's dealing with Leonardo DiCaprio and other players.
Right. Also, the feds are pushing to make us taxpayers buy a new bridge, which reminds me of when
Hurricane Isabel.
happened. Oh, Isabel, yeah.
You know, it'd be easier for a ship to knock down a bridge to rebuild. You know, and that bridge is going to cost $1.6 billion
Decent
to
point.
rebuild. When it was built in 1974, I think everything I saw was $60 million to build it. So
Inflation. Yay.
yeah. But I felt like
I don't know.
I felt like we needed to give this story a little bit more kick in the teeth to really get people to understand exactly what's at stake and what is actually going on. There is still a lot of questions that have to be answered, and those questions are being answered slowly but surely. As far as any intelligence connection, we don't know. Yes, the pilots or the captain's information was removed, but we're diving into why. I actually have an email out to the people on the shipping company to ask why his name was removed, and I'm waiting to hear back.
Right.
So
Research said to give them entertainment and distract from what was really going on. Truth. It is definitely crazy, Meg. It's absolutely crazy. But I mean, until we know, we can't really decide one way or the other. My inclination is stating that something else is going on. Shane's inclination is that it was truly an accident. He is Ukrainian. Yes, we're also fighting a proxy war with Russia through Ukraine. So just a lot of weird coincidences. Another thing I heard on social media today before we end the live is that somebody is going around claiming that the owner of the ship company, Grace Ocean Private Limited, was Mitch McConnell's sister-in-law. I couldn't find any evidence of that. I don't know if you know, Shane.
Actually, you know what? We're going to do something, because there's so many people that like to have these conversations. And let's see if we can pull it up.
Yeah, like they say, enjoy the show. No, Dad. Put it right there. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to pull this up into a different copy.
Sorry, guys. My dad's trying to bring my laundry in and put it in my background on my bed here. That's nice and neatly made. I don't need a pile of my laundry in the background for you guys to see.
So, because I like to...
Yeah, Simo says she was allegedly on the board of directors. Oh, James says hello.
James?
Yeah, one of my friends on TikTok.
Oh, okay. Howdy ho.
Howdy ho, he says.
It's like Wilson on the other side of the fence.
Right? Wilson on the other side of the fence. That's funny.
Graysport.
Yep. We're hitting the nerves. Grace Ocean Private Limited. Right. But who's the CEO of that company?
Well, we're about to find out.
Find a CEO anywhere. It's almost as if Google had... That sounded Texan. That's where I got y'all from.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also from Colorado, so out here we say you guys sometimes. Really wish
Trying to
more
find a
people
website
understood
for
the
'em.
impact HARP has on our country. I agree, James. Yeah, I couldn't find a direct website for Grace Ocean Private Limited, nor could I find any information on their CEO, but there is a rumor that could potentially be misinformation stating that Mitch McConnell's sister-in-law was the CEO. We don't know that for sure, but...
So,
Evergreen Cargo Ship. Oh, I'll write that down.
so this is how I do my research. Huh. Weird.
Can you zoom?
These are...
Can you find anything?
These are all the building or all the companies that are in this same spot. So let's see if I can... I'm going to see if we can look at the building. Oh, it's a tower. But yeah, it's in...
Notice that there are 4 ports, and the only way out of that A bay is the bridge. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Mm. I hate the paywalls. Registered. Let me dig deeper and find out what they use for glass seating. If you're not watching on Facebook, Shane is looking on Google to see if we can find the CEO of the company that owns this vessel that ran into the Baltimore Bridge. Because in my research, I came across her too on LinkedIn, but I don't have a LinkedIn account to look at her
I do.
profile. Sort of design person or something.
No, she is the director of vessel operations.
Okay.
Operations executive, to be honest. That's what her.
Okay. Is that the same as a CEO? Technically?
Technically, could be.
Joseph brings up a great point. How many military ports are there? Could that matter if the warships can't leave and China invades Taiwan? Just speculation, but it's a good one. I would agree with you.
Yeah, basically it's a board member, but I can't find any like higher ups. For the company does not have a profile themselves.
Uh-oh. You cut out there, Shane. What'd you say?
There's no information in regards to a CEO or anything like that. But the number one PIC, person in command for all in-house bulk carrier fleets, all commercial operations, liaising and negotiating with charters, brokers under governing CP terms such as cargo trading exclusion, so on and so forth. Coordination of each vessel's bulkers, commercial issue such as dry docking time, place duration, off-hire, deviation, hull cleaning, bunkering, cargo hold condition, so on and so forth. Check charters, monthly hire payment statements.
Joseph, I was searching on DuckDuckGo earlier and Google, and I still couldn't find anything. So I don't know. Could be that we just need to dig a little deeper or something, but
And that's something I'm going to do.
That there is no information on the CEO, which is questioning.
Are you going to go get the kids?
That raises some more questions.
Logan? 1 second.
Okay. But yeah, if we can't find information on the CEO here, that just raises quite a few more questions, at least for me. Because whether or not this was truly an accident, like we said, we don't know at this point, but we'll figure it out. It'll all come to light.
Yeah, and guys, we're gonna dig more and more into it as the days go on. So
Yeah. As more info comes out, we'll probably do more live streams and talk about it. Or at least Shane will. I might guest star or guest host there too. But I mean, I think that's all we have for now.
yeah, and Joseph, I'm
don't
typically
know.
pretty easygoing. I don't like blocking people. There are certain ones that I will, certain ones that I will not. If you see spam accounts, I do that a lot. But I'm pretty easygoing, and I don't broadcast as much as I should anymore on Facebook. But hopefully over the next couple months we'll get more and more into the political side and really diving into the election season. But I think that's everything we have
Right.
for you guys now. So you guys enjoy your day. And as always, you have a pen and a microphone. It's time to use them. Have a great day,
Mhm.
guys.
Also, check out the North of Richmond podcast on all streaming platforms. We both co-host it. Awesomeness.